20 years. For 20 years, Humor Consultants has been fulfilling its promise, which is to assist in the enjoyment of everything. We think everything's a very good niche. If you're going to pick a niche, pick everything. Our mission is to create results through enjoyable solutions. And what we really teach is the challenge, the power, and if you really want it to be, the fun of free will. Wherever you are in life, somebody's had it worse and made it, and somebody's had it better and blown it. For the next few minutes, we're going to show you some clips of things that we've done over the years that hope will bring value to you in your life. The first clip is a TV interview that I had at Channel 2 in Dayton, Ohio. The second two clips were a TV program that I was a part of by the Ohio Department of Health. One was having stress during the holidays, and the second one was how to communicate during the holidays. And the last one is a program that I did last year for a client that has had me speak at 8 of their last 9 annual conventions. And they had a speaker cancel. And they told me at 10:30 I was going to address the general session the next morning. I think you'll like it. It's Phil Sorrentino, a little different. But first, let's see what this TV station has to say about making work fun.
Are you terminally bored at your terminal?
Thank you for calling Xerox.
Do you think one more call from an irate customer will send you on a Rambo rampage? Well, maybe you should try this.
I tell them to lighten up.
Phil Sorrentino is a fun pundit, a humor consultant from Columbus. Naturally, he tells people to lighten up, but not just for laughs.
And we really do know that if people enjoy what they're doing, if they have a passion, if they have a love for what they do, they're going to be better at it. Now there's a concept.
Here's another concept. More and more companies are making fun, yes, ear-to-ear smile cracking on the job, a priority.
Simply to keep their good people.
Keep their good people sane.
Yeah, there you go.
Experts say happy employees are more productive, more creative, and they make better decisions. Now, how do you go about getting happy on the job? Well, try a hug, or Phil's own dismember.
So grab something to hug and count to 10. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And it's kind of like a mini timeout. But if it doesn't work, then rip its head off.
Want another way to shake off the angst of the workday? Phil calls this the Great Wall of China. Some companies actually buy thrift store plates for their employees and let off some steam with them. I hear it's been a smashing success. That felt good. I like that.
You love them no matter what. It's
Give Phil Sorrentino a minute, he'll give you a new outlook. Watch as he helps Channel 2 director Fred Schoenhofer deal with, well, let's say, difficult coworkers.
Every day. Because you got a lot of people what I call spiritual puke. They're going to, hey, what are we going to do about this? Blah! Now, they feel better, but what about you? It's hanging from you. It's starting to, so you might want to hang around that preacher a little bit more. Yeah. And you might want to exercise, and you might want to drink more water. You might want to read some books and listen to some tapes that helps get you back to center.
Now, Phil's big on the fact that we're all different. In my case, I am differently abled in the keeping my desk neat department.
And one of the things we need to understand to make work more enjoyable is to appreciate our differences. That because you work like this, that might be the best way for you with your personality to work.
Hopefully it's hard to tell, but the news biz is stressful. But Phil reminds us,
because after all, it is only TV news.
Talk about a high-stress job. The folks here at Montgomery County Human Services deal with deadbeat dads, moms who are frustrated because they can't get daycare. Am I right? Yes. And lots of them every day. So how do you not lose your mind and keep your sense of humor on the job?
Yeah, I learned not to be a sponge. You don't soak everything in. You just kind of be like pouring water on a duck's back. You have to let it roll off you, you know.
Well, see, I don't even remember saying that. You got that on your own. That's great.
Phil actually did make a presentation to many of these county workers. They're now practicing what he preaches, and managers say people are now more productive.
What are you doing now based on the retreat? Anything different?
One of the things I try to remember is to sort of focus on the little things, the little victories, rather than to look at the whole picture.
At the root here are people taking it upon themselves to make their own job more enjoyable.
My message in 3 words, it's your choice. Happiness, it's your choice. Peace of mind, it's your choice. Now the question is, what kind of choices are you making?
Hey, it's your thing. Do what you want to do. Just have some fun along the way. In Dayton, Mary Alice Roscoe, 2 News.
Hey, how about that? TV. You know, I was on TV before, but my mom said I had to get off because I was scratching the cabinet. Okay, well, the next program is about handling stress during the holidays. Now, let's face it, this was about the holidays at the end of the year, but guess what? Every month has a holiday. Well, except for August, and August is my birthday. August 1st is my birthday. So now you can even use these ideas towards every month. So as you watch the program, I want you to use these ideas for the next holiday that's coming up. Stress. You know, during the holiday season, we seem to have more stress than we ever have. You know, how many of you have stress? What, the rest of you are just carriers? I don't have stress, I give it. Well, for the next few minutes, we are going to give you some specific how-tos. Not only how you can deal with stress during the holiday season, but how you can have more fun too. Just say no. Now, the holiday season, I know, is a season of giving, but when you think about it, you have all the regular things you must do all the time, and then we have all the other things added on top of it. So one way to deal with stress during the holidays is learn to say no. Now, one way to do that is realize that N-O could be no, a no or denial, or K-N-O-W could be a no of trying to learn more. Instead of saying, no, I'm going to deny you of this, you need to know more about it. So during the holiday season, you really need to learn how to say no. Be kind to yourself. Plan extra activities for you so you can truly enjoy the holiday season instead of feeling like people are always taking from you. Schedule a relaxing lunch with a friend that you haven't seen for a while. Buy that ticket to that concert that you've always wanted to see and make sure that you go. Don't let other people direct you away from you really having the enjoyment during the season that you deserve. Here are 3 other ideas to help you deal with stress during the holiday season. Number 1, watch your diet. You're going to be able to eat a lot of things at the parties, so during the regular meals, eat a little less. Number 2, make sure you don't forget your regular exercise. Don't let other things take you away from that because you need it now more than ever. And last thing, drink more water. One of the greatest gifts we can give anybody is the gift of knowledge. During the holiday season, you have an opportunity to give a gift to your families and friends like no other gift you can give them. Take them to the library. They can actually go to the library and get a book, get a tape, get a video, get software for free to help them improve their lives. Also during the holiday season, the most valuable card in your wallet is not your MasterCard or Visa, it's your library card. Give people you love a library card for Christmas, and you'll have less stress. Also, won't cost you anything either. Leo Buscaglia says, whenever you're under stress, grab something and hug it. Now, if it's a person, ask permission. Now, my wife is a too petite. She doesn't like hugging very much because she says every time someone hugs her, all she gets to do is smell armpits. But Leo says, whenever you're under stress, grab something and hug it and count to 10 backwards. It's kind of like a mini timeout. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And that should make you feel better. Now, if it doesn't, rip its head off. Oh, that makes you feel good. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a dismember. Remember, during stressful times, you have to vent sometimes. But make sure when you vent, it's at the right place, at the right time, in the right way, with the right people. Remember what the holiday season is really all about. It's about celebrating the birthday of a man who laid down 2 principles. His first principle was unconditional love. In other words, I love you all no matter what. There's nothing any of you can do to me to stop me from loving you. Now, there's a lot of things you can do to me to get me to prosecute you, but there's nothing you can do to me to stop me from loving you. And his second principle is the power of forgiveness. When you forgive somebody, you're not forgiving them for them, you're forgiving them for you so you can let go and get on with your life. And also, why don't you forgive yourself? None of us are perfect. The power of forgiveness will free you. So during this holiday season, be more loving and be more forgiving. And I promise you'll have a better season. How'd you like those ideas, huh? We got to see the dismember again. Well, guess what? He's coming back one more time. But this next section is a section about communicating. See, none of us will ever be more successful than our ability to communicate. Trust me, I am the perfect example of because I have the ability to articulate, I'm usually perceived to be much more intelligent than I actually am. Yeah, I was in the 10% of the class that made the top 90% possible. But because I can communicate, because I can articulate, because I know how to develop trust and rapport with people, I get things, I go places, I make an income that people who are more brilliant than I'll ever be get to go to or do. So I hope during this next section you pick up some ideas so you can learn to be a better communicator. Happy holidays, PH1 viewers. Last year we came to you from the library. This year we're going to talk about communication. If I can give you a number of ideas to help you communicate better during the holiday season, you and everyone around you will have more fun. Listen. Huh? Listen. You know, listening is one of the toughest things in communication. My gift to gab has hurt me in my communication process. Now, it's helped me as a speaker, it's hurt me in my communication process. I've had people all my life say, Sorrentino, it's better to be silent and be thought ignorant than to speak and remove all doubts. I had somebody else say to me, Phil, the steam that blows the whistle doesn't make the engine run. Someone else said, a hermit in Galion, Ohio, and there's still hermits in this world, they're very hard to find. He said, Phil, you need to appreciate the silence between the words. So one of the keys during your holiday season, I want you to listen. And one of the greatest ways to listen is to use the echo technique. In other words, when somebody says something to you, you just echo the last phrase. Oh, we went up to the lake the other day. You went up to the lake? Oh yeah, we got a new boat and we went fishing. You went fishing? Oh yeah, and we caught this wonderful trout. A trout? Now, you have to go, oh, really, or huh, because if you keep going echo, 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 they're going to think you're deaf. So what we want you to do is go echo, echo, oh, echo, really, echo, wow. So if you're going to be a better communicator during the holiday season, make a commitment to listen better. Impact. Your communication impacts people, just like this stone impacted these bricks. Let's have an experiment. Everybody out there, pretend like you have a lemon. Okay, now get your knife, cut the lemon in half, feel the juice running down your arm. All right, take the lemon. Oh, see the lemon, there's little wedges. Oh, there's a seed, plop that seed out. Take that lemon, put that lemon up to your nose and smell lemon. Think pledge if that's helpful, okay? Now bite the lemon. Oh, bite the lemon. Swish that juice right around. Okay, put your lemons down. Okay, how many of you winced when you bit your lemon? How many of you salivated? Think about this. I affected your body with my words, and my words weren't even true. So during the holiday season, make sure you watch your words because they will impact people. Things are not always what they appear. During the holiday season, when you talk to people and you're communicating with people, remember, what they may be telling you may not be the rest of the story. Dr. Stephen Covey got on a subway in New York City. A couple stops later, a man got on the subway with 2 children. Their behavior was unacceptable. Dr. Covey went up to the gentleman and said, "Sir, you ought to be reading my books and listening to my tapes." The man looked up to him and he said, "Sir, I'm sorry, but my wife was just hurt and we're heading home and I don't know what we're going to do and the kids don't know what they're going to do." Did Dr. Covey's perspective change? Did your perspective just change? Always remember, there's the rest of the story. The Indians tell us to walk a moon in their moccasins. A moon is 28 days. Some of us don't take 28 seconds to put ourselves in someone else's shoes. So remember, things usually are not what they appear. Balance. One of the keys to communication is to make sure you establish balance. And there's a process called neuro-linguistic programming. It is a communication tool. It's been around for 25 years, and it talks about how we all like to pick different channels to communicate on. There's the auditory channel, there's a visual channel, and there's a feeling channel. Now, audio people, they like to talk very specific and succinctly. And they'll say, listen to me, I want you to hear what I'm saying, I hope it rings true. Visual people say, a picture's worth 1,000 words, visual people can't talk fast enough. And they say, can you imagine this happening to us? Just picture us getting this done. Finally, there's the feeling channel. Whoa, 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 feelings again in my life. Now, feeling people, they'll tell you, I know you told me and I know you showed me, but it doesn't feel right. I actually can't put my finger on it. A lot of these in California, by the way. So if you're going to make sure that you have balanced communication in your life, you need to first determine when someone is talking to you, what channel are they broadcasting on? Adjust your communication style to match their channel, then you will have balance, then we will have rapport, and then we can get into real communication. Computers. Think of all that we get out of a computer. We have the internet, we have video games, we have spreadsheets, we have email. Computers help us out so much in our lives. And guess what? Everything that comes out of a computer comes out of a 1 or a 0. It's a binary system. So all the things that computers bring to us are a result of combining 1 and 0 in different ways. What if your communication during the holiday season would come out of love and forgiveness? In other words, for the next few weeks, all of your communication is a variation of love and forgiveness, love and forgiveness. Wow! Would you have a holiday that you would remember for the rest of your life? The holiday season. An opportunity to eat too much, drink too much, spend too much money. But your success and happiness during this season is a function of your ability to communicate. None of you will ever have a more successful season than you will have based on your ability to communicate. So please, take the ideas we've suggested during this program and make a commitment to implement them. And then you and yours will have a happier holiday season. I hope you take these ideas on communicating and have a better life. This last section is a section that I had a gift to do. I have a client of mine, it's the National Emergency Number Association, 911. I've spoken for them for 8 of their last 9 annual conventions. Now, in the tape I say 9 out of the last 8. Pfft, go figure. But what a great group. This program I developed, it was 11:30 the night before. They had a speaker cancel and they said, Phil, can you give us 30 minutes for our general session the next day? It's a little different. I think you'll like it. Here's what I came up with.
Ladies and gentlemen, for 8 of the last 9 years, our very own humor consultant, Phil Sorrentino.
N-I-N-E, O-N-E, O-N-E, N-I-N-E, O-N-E, O-N-E, N-I-N-E, O-N-E, O-N-E, 911. Thank you very much. Now, whoa, Ryan, what's your name? Allison, come on up here. Real quick. Ladies and gentlemen, we would not even begin to do what we do if it wasn't for teamwork. So these two people were nice enough to bring this out for me today so that I can spend a few minutes with you this morning. Let's thank Ryan and Allison. See ya. Oh, did I get that one? Good morning. Good morning. 9 of the last 8 years, huh? What a gift. When we talk about teamwork, one of the greatest definitions for teamwork is out of a book called The Game of Work by Charles Coonran. He says teamwork is based on great individual execution of assigned responsibilities. Now he goes on to say not compromise and cooperation. Now I disagree with the second half of that definition. I have 5 children and I have 3 grandchildren. I'm a grandpa. By the way, you all know why grandparents and grandchildren get along so well? They share common enemy. Gotta bring them together. So I live my life based on compromise and cooperation. But the first half of that definition, I believe in spades. And here it is again. Is teamwork is based on great individual execution of assigned responsibilities. In other words, for everyone here to be the best team member that we can be on this team is for everyone here to make a commitment to be the best we can be at what we're supposed to do before we start worrying about what everybody else is doing and not doing. Do I hear an amen on that one? Amen. And here's the kicker. Because we're telling you to be perfect, it doesn't mean we're telling you to be right, or it is telling you to be right. You know, being perfect is being right. Being our best is willing to be wrong. Being perfect is being right. Being our best is willing to be wrong. I walk into manufacturing companies all over America. I see these signs on the walls. We want you to do it right first time, every time. No pressure there. And then we're going to change everything every 2 weeks. So I think when we talk about teamwork, and especially you in the 911 industry, because of the change, but your pressure to being perfect every time is just always there. But we've got to understand that we're not going to be. But I hope to give you some ideas here this morning in the few minutes I have that will help you deal with those special situations. Also, I believe we have to operate differently as a team. In the past, we operated as a football team. We tried something, we had a meeting. We tried something, we had a meeting. We tried something, we had a meeting. We had offense, we had defense. We had special teams. Could you do this for me? I'm sorry, I can't. I'm on a special team. We had timeouts. Ladies and gentlemen, because of the pace of change and the volume of change, we have to pick a different sport. What sport do you think reflects the environment that you're currently working in? Any ideas? Huh? What? I heard hockey. I define hockey as ballet with weapons. Now, I believe soccer. Think about it. Once a clock starts on a soccer match, does it ever shut off? No. People are injured, we drag them off the field, and the clock is still going. Do you have any meetings in soccer? No. We communicate on the run. I'm going to kick it to you, you better be ready. Today we call this email or voicemail. Sure, you've got areas of responsibility in soccer, but you better be able to go from offense to defense in a heartbeat, and if any of your team members are put out of position, you better be backing up covering their lane as well as yours. In soccer, we ask you to use your head. We have never asked everybody to use their head more, and especially in the 911 industry. Every one of you as an individual, you must have the freedom and the opportunity to use your head. Because things change so much. At an instant, they change. And soccer is co-ed. We've never been more co-ed than we are today. So when we talk about this teamwork approach, one of the things that I am just humbled about to be involved with your group as long as I've been is just the sense of camaraderie and teamwork, and more importantly, family. We really are a family. And as all the things in families, we have problems and we have problems. And for those of you who were fortunate enough to be at our problem-solving session yesterday, I thought it was great. I challenged the audience. I said, give me a problem, and we'll work on it and hire it. Lady's hand went up like a rocket ship. I said, what's your problem? She says, I just got a call. My 18-year-old daughter just got a tattoo. And when her dad finds out, he's going to kill her. Now that's a problem, right? Now one thing I had to think about that went into my mind, and I'm going to talk about this tomorrow when I talk about your emotional intelligence, because you always must deal with your emotional mind before your rational mind, because your emotional mind is faster than your rational mind. And I immediately thought, now this lady, where is she in emotions? She could be all the way over here that, this guy's not a very good guy. I've had problems. Him and they just don't get along, and when he finds out, I don't know what's going to happen, and I'm here and I can't even help him. Or she could be over here and say, they'll work it out. But it was interesting to see how everybody jumped in and had an idea and had a concept and really pulled together. We had people saying this, oh yeah, I asked how many had a tattoo. Well, let me ask you here today. How many of you here today have a tattoo? Come on, let me see your hands, get them up. See, it's not that bad. But it was interesting how everybody came together for that one thing to solve a problem. Right now, I'd like to give you 3 basic concepts that I think, and I got them out of the book called Conversations with God. Anybody know about, how many know about the book Conversations with God? They're very funny. In book 1, it says, you cannot find God with your mind, you can only find God with your heart. Therefore, to find God, we all must lose our mind. I feel holier, I don't know about the rest of you. And he ends book 3 with these 3 points. And I think for this group, it's kind of fun. Number 1, we are all one. The same Spirit that's in you is the same Spirit that's in me. What I do to you, I do to me. One number, one nation, we are all one. And with that, we need to understand the power of love. And those of you who've heard me speak, you know that I think that's something that's very important. The power of unconditional love. As I told the first-timers, I love every one of you no matter what. There is nothing you can do to me to stop me from loving you. Now, there's a lot of things you can do to me to get me to prosecute you. But there's nothing you can do to me to stop me from loving you. The power of love, unconditional love. By the way, you should have seen when I spoke to 900 Teamsters and was telling them about unconditional love. And about being more feminine in their leadership style. Now, when I say more feminine, I mean more receptive as opposed to projective. I mean more comforting as opposed to confrontive. I mean more conciliatory as opposed to combative. I simply mean more caring. I don't care how much you know until I know how much you care. So when I was telling them about unconditional love, they literally looked like deers caught in headlights. Now, even this can backfire. 2 anniversaries ago, I woke up next to my wife, and I turned to her and I said, sweetheart, I have never been more in love with you. I have never been more thrilled that you are my wife. I've never been more thrilled that you still want me as your husband. I think our kids are absolutely spectacular. And on the morning of our anniversary, I just want to tell you how much I truly love you. She looked up to me and she said, I have diarrhea. I said, excuse me? She says, I have diarrhea. I said, is this your way of saying you got a headache? Because it's not your head I'm interested in, but. Well, I had to leave that day, and I go to Fort Lauderdale. I'm doing a program. I'm in a hotel. I'm getting ready to go out there and go do my program, and the phone rings. Ring. Oh, hi, dear. She goes, you're not going to use what I told you this morning in your seminars, are you? I said, I'm opening with it tonight. It's my opening bit. So the power of love. Number 2, think abundance. Think abundance. Live your life based on abundance. There's plenty out there for everybody. Don't live based on lack. There's always more money looking for good ideas than good ideas looking for money. None of you have a money problem. You all have idea problems. Look at the ideas that get money. Pokemon. Beanie Babies. Unbelievable, the ideas. So you've got to think abundance. Don't think lack. I think Nina has been a great example of how we have progressed over the years, of how we have come up with creative ideas and working with our vendors and working with the government and working with local authorities to really realize that if we can make this pie bigger, all of our pieces will be bigger. The concept of abundance, that's a real important issue that you got to really work on and think about and live your life by. And it's fun too when you do it because you have a whole different sense of what's going on. So that whole power of abundance. 3, we're beings, we're not doings. We're human beings. We're not human doings. We get it backwards. We think we have to do this, to have this, to be happy, to be at peace, and be fulfilled. And God says, no, dunderhead. You were part of me. He really didn't say dunderhead. That's something I just threw in there. No, dunderhead. You were part of me. My arm is part of me. My arm is not me, but my arm is part of me. So we have to think in terms of we are beings. So be happy, be at peace, be fulfilled, and then you'll do the things that happy, peaceful, fulfilled people do, and then you'll have what you're supposed to have. A simple concept, and not an easy one. Because we have things that happen to us, and we have stress, and we have to deal with stress. And I talked to the other persons the other day about stress. But there are things to do, and we have to understand that. How many of you are familiar with Leo Buscaglia? Leo Buscaglia. Now, Leo Buscaglia, this cat gets paid, or he passed away a couple years ago. He got paid $25,000 for a 1-hour speech, and then he hugged everybody. Trust me, first client pays me 25 grand for an hour, we be hugging. Naked. Hey, for 25 grand for an hour, you get me any way you want me. You are the customer at that point. But Leo says whenever under stress, he says grab something and hug it. Now, if it's a person, ask permission. And if they're a petite, my wife is a too petite. She doesn't like hugging very much. She says all she really gets to do is smell armpits. So duck for the little ones, right? But Leo says whenever you're under stress, grab something to hug it and then count to 10 backwards. It's kind of like a mini timeout. So you go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And that should make you feel better. Now, if that doesn't work, rip its head off. That feels good. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a dismember. I had one woman after a seminar come running up. She says, Mr. Sorrentino, do you have any of those with genitals? Tell me she didn't have issues. B. Now, what that whole exercise is about is you have to vent. Venting is important. My wife and I were with our psychologist, and by the way, we had to go to do a little parenting and couples therapy, which I think is great. I have a friend of mine, he's in therapy. He says everyone should be in therapy. He says if you're not in therapy, you're in denial. What do you say to that? I'm not in denial. And denial ain't just a river in Egypt. But he was talking about, he says, I'm not sure about this concept of catharting, of venting. You know, I have people come in here, they've been to 10 psychologists, and they said, yes, I'm not doing very well, but I catharted. He says, I'm not too sure about that whole concept of venting and catharting. I said, no, I have to disagree with you. We got to vent, ladies and gentlemen. But what I suggested to him, and what I suggest to you, is you have to vent in the right way, at the right time, at the right place, with the right person. He said, ooh, that's good. I said, well, then can I charge you for this session? We have to vent because it allows us to remind ourselves of the being part. It allows us to remind ourselves of who we truly are because we lose our perspective. Let's face it, wouldn't it be fair to say that 20% of anything you deal with you're not too thrilled about? Think about it. 20% of the people you work with. 20% of your family. So 20% of your spouse. Somebody said, I wish it was only 20%. Matter of fact, they'd still be my spouse if it was only 20%. So we've got to learn to keep our perspective. We've got to learn to truly understand that if all things work together for good, then all things work together for good. Not just things that are convenient for us, but all things. And when you're in the business that you people are in, when you deal with all the things you deal with on a regular basis, if you can make that one of your values, I truly believe that it'll be like grease, kind of making it go a little easier and making our life go a little better. And that's part of it. And part of the grease is thanking people. Part of the grease is the power of praise. I don't believe we don't give enough praise and we don't get enough praise. SBC, the organization that sponsored this morning, we need to praise them a little bit, give them a little thanks. There's another group that we need to praise, and I don't think we've ever praised them at one of these conventions. We've praised a lot of people, but this is a group we haven't praised. This is the group that is truly behind the scenes. This is a group that makes everybody up here on this stage look good. This is Don Sell and his audiovisual crew. I haven't had an opportunity to work with them on a number of these things. 9 years ago, he started too. He missed Montreal like I did, but he's been here ever since. And when you have an opportunity to work with these professionals, and they truly are professionals, they are there to make sure that all the T's are crossed and all the I's are dotted, and that all of us, some of us more professional of getting up here than others, look good. And they really are committed to that. So I would like right now, we thank them. We don't praise each other enough. That's the thing. And why? I don't know why it is. Oh, do I think if I praise you, it takes something away from me? Then we're not thinking abundance. Then we're not thinking opportunity. We're thinking lack again. Those of you who've seen me work, you know that my big ending, and a lot of times, and I want to do it here today only because I think it's that important, is the power of praise. And that none of us give enough praise, and none of us get enough praise. Oh, by the way, I just recently found out I was just diagnosed ADD. Yeah, like you're going, like, duh. I mean, if they would have had attention deficit disorder when I was a child, I'd have been the poster boy. No, my family would have bought Ritalin in bulk. No, I am the kind of kid, when the teachers felt I was going to be in class, they called in sick for the year. I had 2 take early retirement. I literally had a nun in the 4th grade whack me in the back of the head with a music book. I turned around and she said, "That's for everything I have never caught you doing." I turned around and said, "Well, honey, you better hit me again. You got no idea what's happening back here." Also, don't put anything in your ear smaller than your elbow. And I was violating that the other day. I was doing the Q-tip thing. Now, y'all know what the Q-tip thing is, don't you? You put the Q-tip in your ear, you turn the Q-tip and you take it out. It is a very simple procedure. Well, I'm doing the Q-tip thing. I put the Q-tip in my ear, and by the time it took me to take it out, I got distracted. That's pretty bad when you can't even complete the Q-tip cycle. It is not a long cycle. So now I'm walking around with a Q-tip hanging out of my ear. Now, I'm very secure in my masculinity. I do moose. Yeah, I do moose. So I'm doing the moose thing. I put the moose in my hand, I went to put the moose in my hair, and I jammed the Q-tip into my eardrum. The pain took me to my knees. And when I finally decided I wasn't gonna call 911, my brain said this to me. And please listen to your brain. I've talked to you about this. How many know about your subconscious mind? That's the mind that makes your heart beat without you having to go heartbeat, heartbeat, heartbeat. That's the mind that makes your glands work without you having to go glands, secrete. It is a very powerful tool, but it's a tool you get very little training for. There's a great book called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. And by the way, I believe in books. If you aren't reading books, if you aren't listening to tapes, whoever is reading books, whoever is listening to tapes is going to eat your lunch in the marketplace. You don't have a choice, people. Great book called The Power of Your Subconscious, written in 1963. And it really tells you how to use this tool, this operating system. See, your subconscious mind is like your operating system, where your goals are like the software. And by the way, and I told this to the first timers, and in this industry, as great as any other industry, we have to truly understand the geeks have won. I bow to the geeks. So you better be a geek, hire a geek, Rent a geek, partner with a geek, marry a geek, sire a geek, or make one your really good friends, because the geeks have won. So when I finally decided I wasn't going to call 911, my brain said to me, okay, smarty, what good's going to come out of this? I said, well, think of all the hearing professionals I'm going to get to meet that I normally would not have met. I am that quick. Can you develop a habit to look for the positive that fast in anything that happens in your life? It is a habit. Now, a couple months after this, I had the gift to stand in front of the Minnesota Victims Assistance Conference. I had Mothers Against Drunk Driving, Parents of Murdered Children, Victims of Incest. By the way, they have changed their name to Survivors of Incest. Minnesota Coalition Against Battered Women. And it was a gift to be in front of that group. But a lady followed me that day, and I got to share with you her message. The year was 1985. A plane took off from Greece and was on its way to Egypt and was forced to land on the Isle of Malta. The hijacker took the hostages, took them in the door of the airplane, put a gun to their skull every 15 minutes. How do you remember that incident? There was an American woman that laid on the tarmac for 5 hours pretending to be dead. She followed me that day. Her message was riveting. She said about 10 minutes before it was her turn to go to the door of the airplane, she had, and all she could describe it was a sense of knowing that everything would be all right. She knew if she died, everything would be all right. She knew if she lived, everything would be all right. So she kind of went to the door of the airplane with a sense of anticipation, like, cool, what's going to happen? She heard the click, she felt the pressure, and down she tumbled. She opened her eyes, ready to see heaven, and all she saw was blacktop. She was pissed. Like, where's heaven? But the lady before her moved, and so they went down and finished her off. So Jackie laid there and said, I better not move. And she laid there for 5 hours. She had an out-of-body experience. Her soul rose out of her body. She saw her body lying on the tarmac. She saw the blood streaming out the back of her skull. She met up with her grandmother who had died 2 years earlier, and they in the spirit state were traveling to the white light. At some point during that journey, that sense of knowing overcame her again and said, Jackie, it's not your time. She turned to her grandma and says, Grandma, it's not my time, but Grandma, you're going to be all right. Go to the light, it's okay. And her soul went back into her body. Ladies and gentlemen, could we truly make this industry better if we just keep those two things in mind? Number one, in the big picture, everything's going to be all right. And number two, none of us are going before our time. Everything's going to be all right. And none of us are going before our time. Of course, me being the smarty pants that I am, thank you. Me being the smarty pants that I am, I raised my hand. I turned to the people there today. I said, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, this kind of takes away from my Q-tip story, doesn't it? Think abundance. You know, it was interesting. In the first grade, I remember asking the nuns, I says, by the way, you know, God knows everything that's going to happen. Then how do we have free will? They said, sit down and be quiet. I said, it's a question. Well, in Conversations with God, Book 3, he answers that question. And I'm going to give you that answer. And it's a very cool answer. The answer is this. When you play a video game, how does the character on the screen know how to move? What's the answer? Programming. All the potential moves are programmed onto that game, but you move your joystick. When you petitioned for this manifestation onto this physical plane at this particular time, all of your potential moves are programmed into your game. But you move the joystick. You have a choice. That's what it's all about. You all have a choice. The power of praise. It does cause miracles. How many of you believe in miracles? I believe in miracles. I think if you don't believe in miracles, you're being unrealistic. Let's have one here today. Like this half of the audience, please stand up very quickly. Stand up. Face this half. You two over there, what are you doing? Sit down. face this half. At the count of 3, I want you to give these people the screamingest, holleringest, yellingest standing ovation you've ever given anybody in your life. I want the roof to come up this place. I want people in the hallways to go, are they having an Amway meeting over there? Because let's face it, we'll scream for football players, baseball players, basketball players, but when was the last time we praised our peers? You need to erupt. You people need to participate. As we give you the standing ovation, I want you to stand up, put your right leg behind your left leg, and I want you to go, thank you, thank you, thank you. I want you to give each other high fives, all right? Because let's face it, this may be your only shot to actually get a standing ovation. And believe me, in this industry, there are a lot of you that deserve a standing ovation, and you're never going to get it, but that's the nature of your work. Oh, by the way, while we give these people standing ovation, I want you to catch the eyes of the people that you really like. Well, also catch the eyes of the people that you don't care too much about. And they will know which one they are. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Yeah! Hoo, 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 yeah! Hoo, 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 yeah! Woo-hoo! Hoo, 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 yeah! Okay, down. How'd they do? Give it back to them. Yeah! Hoo, 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 hoo. Yay! Finally. Well, before finally. I can't thank you enough. 9 years ago, you gave a young guy a real chance to do what he loves to do. It was one of the greatest meetings I ever did. And you've had me back again, and again, and again. And I really can't thank you enough. It's been a joy to work with you. When you die, 3 things are going to happen. First thing that happens when you die is whatever you think is going to happen when you die. See, if God gives us a free will to create our existence here in the physical plane, wouldn't it make sense that God would give us the same free will to create our existence in the spiritual plane? The second thing that happens when you die is your values, and you choose your values, will sit you down with a videotape of your life. Boom! Yeah, get to watch the toga again. Now, I know they're not going to let me have the fast forward button. I know they're not going to have reverse. I know they're not going to give me erase, but Lord, could I have the mute button? Because there's been things in my life that I said, and as they were coming out, I didn't want to say them. I just couldn't stop it. And I don't want to hear me say them again. And then you get to look at a series of videotapes. And these are videotapes of the lives of the people that you have affected. 911. Wow. Think of the tapes that you get to watch. So I only pray that every one of us here today will live our lives in a way in which we are looking forward to seeing our tapes. Thanks. In closing, oh, by the way, Neenah has asked me back again. 9 of their last 10 annual conventions. We'd like to finally share with you how we define your sense of humor. And we actually got the idea from my son's kindergarten teacher. Chad was in kindergarten. Oh yes, I do have a Chad. He's not a pregnant Chad. He's not a dimpled Chad. He's actually a pimpled Chad. He's 17. But he was in kindergarten, and they were talking about your 5 senses. Well, Chad raised his hand. He said, what about your 6th sense? The teacher said, your 6th sense? And Chad said, yeah, your ability to read other people's minds. In the parent-teacher conference, I went, yes! A tear formed in my eye. I turned to my wife, and I said, he can't clean his room, but he's got this one right. But she was a great teacher. She said, Chad, what about your 7th sense? And Chad said, your 7th sense? And the teacher said, yeah, your sense of humor. So if we can agree that your sense of humor is your sense of perspective, then it's the combination, it's the distillation, It's a result of all the information that you process through your other six senses. So it's your attitude. So do you have a loving humor or do you have a hateful humor? Do you have an encouraging humor or do you have a discouraging humor? Our whole message for the last 20 years is you choose the humor you bring to the world.